Shalom. All praises go to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahshua Bashem Alabakwa. That's double all this unto the all the apostles and great millstones for the teachings of the scriptures, among other things. Shalom to the sincere Akim across the world. Now, this is a video on another video that the elder apostle ahrayamlab did, and I'm gonna go up in it and pull the scriptures that he was mentioning.
But so far it's been a landslide, and like I said, he presents a very good argument with the scriptures he brings out for those who don't understand the scriptures and the whole narrative of the scriptures. Now he pulled out the scripture in 2 Chronicles 6, which is also in 1 Kings 8, which is a prayer of King Solomon. And it says, of a stranger that is not, of thy people Israel. And automatically there, if you don't have any understanding, you'll be like, well, he kind of got a point there. And the reason why it says it that way, and even when you go to the word stranger there, the word there is nakar. Now,
Right. Now, what he's saying is, you have these Christians pulling up scriptures talking about that the heathens can make it, salvation is for the heathens also. So I'm going to get to these scriptures. 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 31. That they may fear thee, to walk in thy ways, so long as they live in the land which thou gavest unto our fathers. Moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of thy people Israel. So if you read this, you would be thinking, this is not talking about an actual Israelite, but it's come from a far country for thy great name's sake, and thy mighty hand, and thy stretched out arm. If they come and pray in this house, then hear thou from the heavens, even from thy dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth to thee for. Do what the stranger begs for. That all people of the earth may know thy name and fear thee, as doth thy people Israel, and may know that this house which I have built is called by thy name Yahweh. Right, so it says here, as thy and thy mighty hand and thy stretched out arm. That's how the Lord is going to get them back, right? Well, if you go to the book of Isaiah, chapter, where did I put it? Isaiah 11 and 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Patros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, which is Babylon, and from Hamath, which is another Hamitic place, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So he's going to gather together the Israelites from the four corners of the earth. That's one. Now going back to 2 Chronicles, because when it says here stranger, it says the word nakar. 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 31. 32 actually. Moreover, concerning the stranger, Hebrews 52:37. Foreign. It says here nakaria. Foreign woman, foreign subs, foreign alien, harlot, unknown, unfamiliar, figuratively. Unfamiliar. Okay, so it could be unfamiliar too, because they know exactly that in certain sentences, it's used as unfamiliar sometimes, and unknown too, unknown to themselves that they are Israelites, for example. But let me go to the book of Exodus chapter 12 first. Exodus 12 and 43. And Yahweh said unto Moses, this is the ordinance of the Passover, that there shall no stranger eat thereof. So the word here, stranger, is ban nakar. Hebrew 52:36. This is nakar. This is ban, which means son of a stranger, and nakar. Just then we read nakaria, but anyway, going on. Foreign, alien, foreigners. That which is foreign, foreigners, foreign goods, alien, foreign and vanities. Okay. nakar. Cool. So it says, no stranger, no foreigner shall eat of it, but every man's servant that is bought for money. When thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof. So it clearly says, the foreigner shall not eat of it, but every man's servant that is bought for money, which is a Hebrew servant, which goes into the book of, where was it again? Exodus 20, if I'm correct. 21, no. Was it? Yeah, here. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years and stuff like that. So Exodus 21, right? That servant is allowed to eat. But an actual foreigner servant from another, a hired servant from another race, because they're not allowed to eat from the Passover meal. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth off of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. So the Israelites are ordered to keep it, all of them, 100% of them. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, he shall travel with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. And then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. So this shows you that when you eat the Passover lamb, you're supposed to be circumcised, right? But the point is here, this stranger is allowed to eat of the Passover meal, and this one is not allowed to eat, and a foreigner and a hired servant are not allowed to eat. Okay, so this stranger here is nakar, and then what is this stranger here? Which is 48. Hebrews 16:16, it says gar, which is sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. That's the Israelite. A foreigner in Israel, of Israel, though conceded rights. So what does that mean? Conceded. Admit or agree that something is true after first denying or resisting it. These are the Israelite foreigners. They have the right to actually come up in the land and own land of Israel also. But in the beginning, they were denied because they were seen as heathenistic Israelites. Probably had bald hair, shaved hair, bald faces, shaved beards and stuff like that. Probably got tattoos, because the Lord said, thou shalt not make no markings upon thy body. Probably had those type of things. So they were denied at first. But the Lord said, no, it is not allowed for you to deny them. If they are denied, then it will be by me, and therefore I will put them to death. But if they return unto me and come back to Yahweh Bashem Yahshai and his law, statutes, and commandments, then you shall not forbid him from entering into my covenant and into my land then. Right. Isaiah 56:1. Thus saith Yahweh the power, keep ye judgment and do justice. For my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed, which is being revealed now in the end days. That's why we know of him. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that had joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, Yahweh had utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. So when you look up this word over here, which is Isaiah 56:2, Isaiah 56:2, the son of a stranger. Isaiah 56:3, son of a stranger. Hebrew 52:36. It says nakar. So it goes in basically toward a heathen nation, right? But with this scripture, you can actually prove it with this scripture right here, Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 20. For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bonds, because the Lord, he set us free often, especially in the time of the book of Judges. And then we went into slavery again. And thou saidest, I will not transgress. When upon every high hill and up under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot. So even though we said often, like, I'm not gonna do it again, and then every time we did it again. That's why this time he actually destroyed us so hard that we forgot that we were Israelites. It's kind of funny if you think about it. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine. That's what the Lord planted us. Wholly a right seed. We're supposed to be righteous. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? So what have we become? Now this is the book of Jeremiah 2:21. Now when it says here strange, the Israelites have turned into a strange vine unto the Most High, which is then therefore Nakaria, which is this right here. And we turn into what? An unfamiliar, because you have this word here, Nakar, which is, where did I go again? Sorry. You have this word here, Nakar, which is foreigner. We turn into strangers, actual heathen nations. That's what we turn into. But then you have the Nakaria, which is basically my unfamiliar, my stranger, which is the unfamiliar one. Which this one you can kind of explain a little bit more better, because it has different meanings. But the other one, we were called that because we turned into something that we are not. And then therefore we are now that strange vine. Just like how it's mentioned in the book of Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled the fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. This has not happened to the Israeli people, because the Israeli people, these Amalekites, they rule everything. They're not under somebody else and following after their customs and being, have to serve their enemies. We're doing that. The so-called Negros, Latinos, and Indianos, right? So this is the part of this stranger, which is a Nakar, but we were turned into that because of here. We turned ourselves into that by forgetting our heritage and then therefore becoming that, right? Because now going to the book of Second Chronicles again, which is what I just read. The Israelites that are not of Israel. That's it. That is actually what it's talking about. Now going back to, as you can see, Nakaria to here. Going to 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 41. Moreover, concerning a stranger that is not of thy people Israel, but cometh out of a far country for thy name's sake, which is what we're doing right now. The Israelite foreigners. They're coming back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. For they shall hear of that great name. That's when we talk about Yahweh Bashem Yahushai upon the street. And of thy strong hand, how he delivered us back in the days, and how he's going to deliver us in this future. And of thy stretched out arm, which I just read about in the book of Isaiah chapter 11. I'm going to read that after this again. When he shall come and pray toward this house, hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth thee for, the stranger of Israel, that all people of the earth may know thy name, to fear thee, as do thy people Israel. All the people on the planet earth will fear the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, just as the Israelites will fear Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that they may know how that this house, the house of Israel, which I have builded, is called by thy name, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And this word again, 1 Kings chapter 8 verse, here you have this word stranger again, which is Hebrew 52:37. which is Nakadia. And then 43. It's the same thing. Hebrew 52:37. Right. This can be explained away by Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 21. You know, this thing that we do is a thing of repetition because there's always new brothers, new people coming in and learning and, you know, being explained with the scriptures. So you can put these little scriptures together and then come to the conclusion that, hey, wait a minute, it's actually talking about us. When it's talking about us in a good sense of in the way of salvation, it's talking about Israelites. When it's talking about the Gentiles are going to be destroyed, it's talking about them, which is the no salvation part. But you also have that the Israelites are going to be destroyed also. So yeah, but there's still salvation for the ones of Israel that turn. And then you have in the book of Maccabees. Now this was during the time of the Greeks. Here is kind of where we actually started to lose everything that we are concerning being Israelites. 2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 5. The altar also was filled with profane things. That's our altar where we do sacrifices upon, which the law forbidded. Right? We were not supposed to be doing those things. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. And who did that? These heathen nations did it. Where's his name? Man of Heathens. These heathen nations did it. These Greeks, they started with that. I think it was in Ptolemy. No, I don't know if it was on Ptolemy. Antiochus, if I'm correct. I think he did that. Yeah, but anyway, going on. And in the day of the king's birth, every month, there were brought by bitter constraint to eat the sacrifices. So what was happening? They was forcing us. Constraint, which is, you know, tied up and you can't really do your own thing. That's constraint. A limitation or restriction, right? To eat of the sacrifices. And when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus, carrying ivy. So what were they forced to do? A number of people or vehicle moving toward in an orderly fashion, especially as part of a ceremony. We was forced to participate in their customs, their heathenistic customs. Right. We was forced to participate in their heathenistic customs, and this is a filthy thing. But nowadays they have it bacchanalia or something like that. Bacchanalia, which is in South America. Curacao has it also. Bacchus feast. Oh man, what's his name again? Well, I forgot the kind of how. Let me see. Damn it, I forgot the name of it, but they have this thing in South America where they go out there and do these type of feasts and stuff like that. But anyway, going on. Yeah, Mardi Gras is another one of it also. Mardi Gras in America. There's another feast of Bacchus. Bacchus is actually a feast of drunken people, the idol of agriculture, wine and fertility and sex. So basically he's the idol of wine and sex, and that is exactly what they're doing at that time. Wait a minute. Right, as I was saying, it is an idol of agriculture, wine and fertility, which is going into drunkenness and sex and stuff like orgies and stuff like that. That's what they pray into when they do that carnival nonsense thing. Right, going on. Right now it says here, verse 8, moreover, there went out a decree, which is a rule by law, an official order that has the force of law, unrighteous decree, to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy. Oh, it was Ptolemy, against the Jews, the Israelites, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices, against the Israelites. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present mystery. Yes. So if you know that they was being threatened with death and they could not call themselves Jew anymore, they was not allowed to profess themselves as Israelites, as Jews, then you would know the present time misery that we are in right now, which is a lot of our people calling themselves after the countries that they were enslaved in or that they grew up in, and they think they are no longer slaves, right? Stuff like that. You're a mental slave, and you still physically, because you have a tax number. I forgot what number it's called, but it's a number. Oh yeah, Social Security number. That's your number of your prison. Your prisoners have a number, and that is how you communicate with people, because they really don't use your name. They use the number that you have, and then therefore they click it into the computer, and that's you. That's the same thing as an inmate. So you are an inmate of the country that you are in, and you can't just leave the country. You need to buy a ticket. You need to pay to get out of the country. You can't just leave and then, nothing is going to happen to you. Something is going to happen to you, because if they catch you, you're going to pay a fine. If they catch you in another country, they're going to send you back to where you came from, stuff like that. But if you read this, then you can understand the present time, which we are now in 2023. You can understand the things that we're going through right now, because it all stems from this time going back to over here, where we was forced to eat pig and all that type of crazy stuff. We was forced to eat of their sacrifices and stuff like that. And we was forced to not name ourselves Jews because it was against the law. We were not allowed to keep Sabbath days, nor ancient fasts and feasts, and to call ourselves Israelites, Jew, Benjamin, Levi, and so forth. We were not allowed to do that. And if we don't participate in their fashions, we would be killed, put to death. That's why our people are turned into degenerates, the degenerates that we are right now. And the degenerate means, a degenerate plant. Degenerate here. It means having lost the physical, mental, or moral qualities considered normal and desirable. But let me go to the etymology, it's better here, degenerate. Here, degenerate V. It says here, degenerate. It says, to lose or suffer impairment to the qualities proper to the race or kind. So let me read it again. To lose impairment. What's impairment? A drastic reduction. Okay, that's all we need. A drastic reduction in something that is fixed. So basically, it's something that goes down, right? Downhill. So to lose impairment to the qualities proper to the race, when in this case is the race of Israel, or kind, kind of tribe, or you are, whatever, Right. Also, figuratively, decay in quality, pass to an inferior state. From the Latin, this word, which goes into past particular of degenerata, which literally means to be inferior to one's ancestors. That is what we are according to the book of Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the inferior plant of a strange other vine that I have not planted? unto me, because the Lord planted us. Here in the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, now it says here, verse 7, for the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel. We are that vineyard, but we came a degenerate vine. And vineyard is actually plants, which goes into something that is made to make men glad. Sirach 31:27. Wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunken moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. So we are created to make the Heavenly Father happy and glad, but we do not. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, because we was messing up each other. For righteousness, but behold, a cry, because we didn't uphold the law according to what is written in the Bible, how we need to uphold the law. So a lot of people started crying and be like, hey man, what are you doing? That's not righteous. And stuff like that. That's because the leaders of our people messed it up. First Ezra also talks about that it was the leaders of our people that started to sprout us to go out there, have heathen women, and all that crazy stuff and stuff like that. Right. So now going back to over here, right? I already read this, and yeah, this is basically saying that we are married to the Lord, and then we turn into a whore by going after other gods. That's exactly what we turn into, and that made us the degenerate plant of a strange vine. Jeremiah 3:1. They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? No, because he busted nuts in her mouth, and now if you want to kiss her, you're kissing his sperm. You know, it's just a nasty situation. And back in the days, they didn't use condoms, so if you bust a nut in a girl, guess what? If somebody else goes and also goes up in there, guess he's mingling with your semen. You know, nowadays you have Jakes doing porn shoots and stuff like that. The girl is sucking off one guy, and then she stands up, and then she goes and kisses the other guy in the mouth. These things are happening, man. These things are happening. He just sucked the dick. That's what he just did, indirectly. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, and they have no shame. But then again, if you put a camera on yourself and you put yourself up to be seen by millions of people, you have no shame. A shameless, a dog, a man that is a dog should be counted for a beast, you know. And he's a dog, and his money is not worthy to be set up toward the righteous and holy things of the priests. So you can't pay tithes with dog money, with a gigolo money. You're a Honda, you're a dog. Shall not that land be greatly polluted? That shows you that your wife is your land, and she is greatly polluted, having one man after you. You can't take her back. But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. We as a nation has played a whore with many lovers of these other heathen nations, their idols. Yet return again to me, save Yahweh the power. Which is disgusting. But he's a forgiving power, so he will take us back after a few thousands of years of smacking around. You know, really smacking around. Smack you so good you forget what you are. Yeah, that's how good he smacked us. Real good, real good. But now he's showing mercy, and we getting the mercies of David, which is bringing us back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? So that's a degenerate, to be inferior to one's ancestors. That is what we are. We are inferior to our ancestors with anything and everything that they did. Just stupidity. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from the inheritance that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land with that which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled the fire in my anger, which I burn forever. Acts chapter 5 verse 11. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now, when this was noised abroad, let me read it again. There were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men from where? Out of every nation under heaven. So there was among the Chinese, there was among the Japanese, there was among the Hamites, Africans, there was among the Japhetic people, there was among people of Thailand, Indonesia, those Japhetic people. There was among the Arabs, there was among all nations on this planet Earth in existence. There is where the Jews were. Literally said it right here. Going on. Now, when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together. The multitude of who? The multitude of Jews that were all over the place, and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak. Who's the them? The disciples, the men of the Lord, heard them speak in his own language. And back in the days, you didn't have everybody speaking. Were able to understand one language. No, because the school systems wasn't really set up like that to a certain degree. That's why when Paul had a teacher, they was looking at him like, hey, he's a learned man. There was not a lot of that type of thing going on, but it was going on. But anyway, you need to have a certain status to have a teacher. You need to be privileged. It's just like boarding school nowadays. You need to be privileged in money. There, you need to be privileged in your pockets, or else you're not gonna get up in that school. You can't go there being broke compared to them, and let's say you're kind of rich, but you're not, you're not good rich, it's your standard normalized rich. They still make fun of you because you're poor to them. Everybody got a Ferrari, but you got a BMW or something like that. They're laughing at you. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? Yeah. Are these not the people of Galilee? How can they speak in our language? And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes and Elamites. So you had Israelites, the devout men out of these places. Elamites and dwellers of Mesopotamia and in Judea and in Cappadocia and in Pontus and Asia. And you can Google these names and type in region and where they are. And then you will see, for example, Mesopotamia. If you type that in, you will get the region of Iraq. If you type in Parthians, you will get Iran. Yeah, here. As you can see, you get the region of Iran, right? Arabia and stuff like that. But it's Iran. And the Caucasus Mountains. But then you have the Medes, right? If you type in that region, you will get this region over here, which is here. So here, the Media. Iranian, and here's Elam, here's Babylon, which is Mesopotamia. Here you can see Mesopotamia. Here you can see Elam, this region, and then you have the Medes and stuff like that, this region, and going up to Russia, okay, right, and then therefore you can have the Elamites. I already showed that. Asia, you already know what that is, where that is. You should, by the way. This word over here, and you had Pamphylia. In Egypt you had our people also, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and the strangers of Rome, you already should know where that is. Jews and proselytes, Crates and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of Yahweh Basham Yahushai. This I already read. It's kind of the same thing as this, because the Lord said that he will gather his people out of, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Patras and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And Shinar is Babylon, by the way, as you can see here. If you type in Babylon, and you will see here Babylon. Shinar is here in this region, which is here. If you read the book of Genesis chapter 10, you will see that Babylon, let me get it. Now it says here, Genesis chapter 10, it says that Cush begot Nimrod, right? Verse 8. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, right? And Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. That's where he was from. That is the land where he was ruling. So even there you have Israelites unto this day. Right, and they bet your ass they look like them, but not all of them, of course, because I saw so-called black people in Iran. Black people in Iran. You have them there, here. This guy. I often use this Afro-Iranians that side in Iran, and he looks just like one of the regular people in Suriname. I'm not kidding you. He actually looks like, people that I'm used to seeing and stuff like that. But anyway, going on. Oh yeah, I just saw this. I didn't even pay attention. You got kids like this, look like an Aboriginal or something from how you call that thing? Australia, something like that, a little bit because of the hair. But this is because they mingle around with those people. But this one looks like he's pure as hell. Look at me here, But anyway, so this one too, you know what I'm saying? Reminds me of the elder in England, actually. Her hair. What is it, a boy or a girl? I don't know. I think it's a girl. But the hair. But anyway, going on. Right, verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Revelation 5 and 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us, the Israelites, to Yahweh, by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. So he has redeemed the Israelites back to the Heavenly Father by thy blood, and from where? Out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. That is where we will all come from as Israelites, and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. That is what we want. Romans 10 and 12. For there is no difference between a Jew and a Greek. The same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. These are Israelites. Acts chapter 6 verse 1. New Translation International. New International Version. In those days were the number of disciples increasing. The Hellenistic Jews among them complained against the Hebrew Jews, because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. Now, in the King James, it says, in those days when the number of disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration of food. Most likely because women aren't supposed to be given food, because sometimes they're bleeding at the feet, and that's not allowed. And the heathen nations, they, like here in the Netherlands, these devils will they're not catching me. These devils will teach you that you're not supposed to basically honor your customs. You're supposed to not put the woman to shame, and you're supposed to eat from her when she's bleeding. You're supposed to also have sex with her when she's bleeding. You're supposed to just cuddle with her when she's bleeding, all that type of stuff, which we have not learned in Suriname, so we don't do that. But the new generation that have not been taught by their parents are doing it because they don't know better. But still, the majority of the Jacob descendants that are still living amongst our people here in the Netherlands, they don't do it. It's the ones that live in the places of Edomites where they are like the only Jake in their classroom, or the only Jake in a region of maybe like 5 kilometers or something like that before they see another Jake. They might go like 2-3 days in their own neighborhood walking around or something like that, just living there without seeing another Jake. Those could get messed up because they have really no other examples. That's why you gotta often live in a region where you can see your people every day. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, right. So what does the word Hellen or Hellenist mean? Hellenist is a person living in Hellenistic times who was Greek in language, outlook, and way of life, but was not Greek in ancestry. That is what we are. Because if you go to the book of, which is here, Romans 10 and 12, either Jew or Greek, here, Romans 10 and 12, and then you look up the word Greek, neither Jew or Greek. There's no difference between a Jew and a Greek. Hebrew 16, and Greek G16 is Greek 1672, Greek 1672. A Greek either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colonies. Okay, so you're colonized. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, custom, and learning of the Greeks their own. So they made it their own. I don't understand what the hell it just said right there. Not Jews, because it clearly says that the Hebrewistic Jews were, they would call Hellenistic Jews, sorry, and they was against the Hebrewic Jews. So I don't really know. Maybe my English is not good, or maybe they just devils, But that don't make no sense. And learning of the Greek their own, and learning of the Greeks their own, right? That's what they made. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship, right? So they did it a little bit their own way and stuff like that, because for example, Suriname, when they celebrate Christmas, believe me, it doesn't snow there, and when they want to do White Christmas, they probably throw sugar in the air or something like that. I don't know, but they can't do it according to how they do it over there in the colder countries. So they have their little stupid customs and stuff like that. And most of those people can't even afford to chop down a palm tree, so-called Christmas tree, because those trees are not there. That's why. So they might make a fake tree or so, buy a fake tree or something like that. Let me see, Christmas in Netherlands. Let me see. I don't know what they have there. They don't even have it. Oh, yeah, they do. Oh, yeah, okay. Right, but we see it in full suit. It's not even freaking cold down there, bruh. And they still bring that shit around, But hey, that's what you get. Everybody be following after devils. You know what I'm saying? So hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. And there's a lot of females around there, right? So after all these things had happened to us, what did we do? We lost our heritage, right? Because first and foremost, they forced us. And after a while, we lost it physically. And then didn't ever come back to it mentally until now, which the Lord is showing the mercies of David upon the whole nation of Israel. Just like how he had mercy on David by not killing him and just taking him off for first committing adultery and then committing murder. And that's actually us. We as a nation did that. So we're getting the mercies of David. Acts 15:2. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small decision and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. And being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenice and Samaria, declaring the conversion of the Gentiles. And they caused great joy unto all the brethren. Right, because they went to all these places and they basically brought the truth to them. Acts 15:5. I'm just jump to verse 5. But there rose up a certain of the sect of Pharisees which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. And the apostles and elders came together for to consider of this matter. Verse 10. Now therefore, why tempt ye the Most High, to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? So what has happened here from verse 1 until verse 10? You had basically wicked Israelites going around telling them that you need to be circumcised, you need to keep the laws of Moses and stuff like that. You can't make no mistakes, and you're going to get punished and through the law and by the law. That's a false thing. Especially when the Israelites just lost just found their inheritance after losing it after so long. And then therefore you cannot actually force harsh laws upon the newcomers of Israel. After a while, once they start getting everything under the so-called belt, when they start knowing stuff better, then you could come up with things like, do this, do that, and that we're not supposed to do that. But what did the Lord tell us? to tell the new ones when they come in Acts 15 and 19. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them, don't trouble them. So with the Sabbath days and stuff, don't trouble them. Which from among the Gentiles are turned to Yahweh, which are Israelite foreigners. But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, so no idol worshiping, that's a must. And from fornication, basically, don't do filthy sexual things, because when in Rome, do as the Romans do. They do kiddie porn, they do homosexuality, they do sodomy, which is that they do beast fuckery, the animal whatever thing. Now they call it whatever, man. Anyways, they do those type of crazy things. Don't do those things. Don't worship idols, and don't do what they do. That one night stand thing, left and right, that's also not a good thing. But anyway, like I said, I'm not trying to 100% stop you, but I will tell you that is not a good thing. And from things strangled, which we have no power over now because you don't know what you're eating. But if you see it, you see the animal getting strangled, don't eat that. Don't eat that thing. And from blood, don't eat blood, drink blood, and don't shed blood. I would have none of you suffer as a murderer. That's what Yahushua said. Colossians 2 and 16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things that shall come in the future. So these things, what we're doing right now, we are practicing the righteous acts, rehearsing the righteous acts of the Lord, but we are in practice mode right now. So once that time comes, practice mode will be over and we will be handed the righteous spirit, and therefore we will be able to keep these things in 100%. But nowadays, if you go off doing these type of things, don't really worry. These are a shadow of the things to come. So it will come, but this is a shadow of it. This is practice. It's not the solid form of it. We are now in the shade form of it, meaning it changes. But the shadow was here a couple of minutes ago. I saw it. I even took a picture. Well, yeah, I see it right there. It's right there. Yeah, but it changed, right? Yeah, it's there now. So it's a shadow. So don't be too twisted with it in your head, breaking your head, because even our forefathers couldn't keep the strong laws. Therefore, we pray for grace in Yahushua. We have to, or else we would be dead. I don't need to read that. Right. Let no man beguile you in your reward in a voluntary humility or worshiping of angels, intruding, that is forcing themselves into those things which he had not seen. Intruding. What is it again? Put oneself deliberately into a place, you're forcing yourself deliberately, or a situation where one is unwelcome and uninvited. Basically, let your mouth not put your ass in trouble by going to do things like worshiping angels and stuff like that. You're forcing yourself now into those things which he had not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. Yeah, don't do these things. And don't trip up too much with the the new moon and Sabbath days and meat and stuff like that. But we do stay away from pork. We do stay away from drinking blood and stuff like that. Obvious things we do stay away from. Especially when you are a beginner in this truth. Later on, you will keep listen, we're practicing, right? So don't get it twisted like, man, if I come to the Hebrew Israelites, don't say that one. If I come to the Hebrew Israelites, I'm going to have all these rules on me. I want to be free. I want to have my nipples in the wind and my hair all, straight, but in the wind looking like a brick. I want to do those type of things, man. No. You need to take it slow. Slowly but surely. You know what I'm saying? Cut that long hair of yours eventually. You know what I'm saying? Put some clothes on. Put your t-shirt on. Ain't no nipples in the wind around here. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. So, hey, slowly but surely, we need to come back to Yahweh Bashem Yahshua with all honor and dignity, which is which is self-respect, dignity. You know what I'm saying? The state or quality of being worthy of honor and respect, especially toward yourself. And don't be an abuser of yourself. You know what I'm saying? And also an abuser of yourself in Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, meaning don't disrespect the Lord. Have honor unto the Lord. Right. So therefore, I think I'm done. And let me see if I covered everything that I actually put here. Right. Did I? So yeah, me going as I'm scrolling or just tapping around. You need to understand that when it speaks about that, the Nakar and the Gar and the heathen nations and stuff like that, that cannot make it in salvation, it's talking about the heathen. It's talking about the actual heathen nations, the actual strangers, the actual other nations. But when it's talking about like Gar and Nakaria sometimes and stuff like that, and it has salvation in it, then it's talking about the Israelite fall. Oh yeah, remember this one. No, I already did this. So yeah, you can read the rest for yourself with the Hellenists and stuff like that. It's the stuff like that. You have the Greek-speaking Israelites and you have the Hebrew-speaking Israelites. You have the Hellenists and you have the Hebrews. You have the Grecian Jews and you have the Hebrewic Jews. They're all Israelites, but they were called Greeks. There's no difference between a Jew and a Greek. That Greek is talking about an Hellenist, and that Hellenist is talking about here. A person, especially in ancient times, adopting Greek speech, ideas, or customs. A person who admires or studies Greek civilization. That was the same thing with, what's his name again? Timothy? Timothy's father was a Greek? Timothy's father was a Greek? Where is that again? Acts 16 and 1. Yeah, it wasn't here. Acts 16 and 1. This was Acts 6 and 1. The other one is Acts 16 and 1. Right, I should remember that. Acts 16 and 1. Right, Acts 16 and 1, which is this one over here. Let me see. Here, his father was a Greek, right? And his father was a Greek. See, it doesn't say Hellenist, if I'm correct. Let me see. Let me double scroll to it. Through it, I mean, Greek. It all says Greek. None of it will give you the indication that he was an Israelite that believed in the Greek system and called himself a Greek. Just like how you have niggas right now. I remember that nigga from, how you call this thing? He calls himself like that, so I'll call him that too. What's his name again? He had a fight with, a verbal fight with Zakari, Captain Tazariak from ISUPK. Whack 100. He was saying like, I'm a nigga. I ain't no good. I ain't no did. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he was doing. I'm a nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm an Afro-American. I'm an American. And he refuses to be. He doesn't even want to call himself an African. He says, I ain't no, I'm an American. You know? So that was Timothy, his father. You have those type of guys until this day. Acts chapter 16, verse 1. Was a Greek, which is Hebrew 1672. His father was a Greek, right? Now this is Greek 1672. It's the same word. This Greek is Helen, sorry. Helen, right? And I have a Dutch nationality, but I'm not Dutch, fucker. What are you talking about? So that has nothing to do with your race. I see Chinese people over here, Dutch nationality and citizenship and stuff like that. They're not Chinese. Because when I look at them, I don't see no Dutch person. I see a Chinese person living here in Dutch country, whatever, the Netherlands. But the point is that he is in Helen, right? And what does that mean? That means that he's an Israelite that really believes that he subscribes himself to the Greek custom. Why? Jeremiah 17 and 4, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from the heritage, from thine heritage that I gave thee. And where did that started? 2 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient fast. That's why the Lord said in the book of Acts 15, he said, don't force them. Don't force them to do those things because they're not used to it. They have not been used to it for a long time. Only force them to actually remain from idol worship and fornication, that filthy type baja sex that they're doing all over the place. One night stand here, one night stand there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Orgies here, orgies there. Don't do that. Don't do that. And things strangled, which we have no control over. But if you see the animal being strangled in front of you, do not eat that thing. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. You better go on a diet. You better drink some water. Or go eat some plants or something like that. Don't eat that thing. We're not supposed to be eating that thing. And don't eat blood and don't murder. I would have none of you as a murderer and a thief. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer or as a thief or as an evildoer or as a busybody in other men's matter. You know what a busybody is? A busybody is somebody that's meddling and prying in other people's business like this. Literally, Edomites, when I go to places like Den Haag or something like this, devil places, you see them peeping out the window looking at me like, what are you doing here? But some places, I'm not kidding you, they're more, man, they bring their daughter to make... I'm not trying to be mean, man. I'm not trying to be filthy. I'm just telling you what it is. Certain places, they actually introduce you to their daughter. I'm not kidding you, man. That's what the mother will bring it. The father is very, very friendly towards you. But other places, this is what they do. Taking notes and being fucking nosy and know everything what you're doing. Those are the devils. I don't like those devils, man. You always want to know what you're doing. Hanging around. What are you doing in this neighborhood, boy? Those type of devils. But anyway, you have Israelites doing these type of things also. Sneaking and peeping into their neighbors' business and stuff like that. Always on the phone talking shit about somebody else. And then it's irritating because you're right there and you hear them stories and you don't want to be there. So you leave, It's just irritating. But let's say you happen to just be there and you needed to be there and you hear them talking on the phone. You want to just turn around and do something to them. But yeah, you can't do that. I'm going into my own silly thoughts right now. But anyway, the busybody, don't do that. In other men's matters, don't do that. Yet if any man suffer as a so-called Christian, a follower of Yahweh, let's say, keep it at that. Let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify Yahweh on this behalf. Right. Because I remember that, actually, it's just human emotions. But what people are trying to do is they're trying to ridicule you out of Yahweh Shai. When you in the world smoking, doing all type of criminal activities and stuff like that, they don't tell you to stop. As soon as you come up in this truth, they be like, hey, what are you doing, man? Hey, man, you need to stop that thing what you be doing, man. You know what I'm saying? Basically, what he's telling you, like, get away from me, how about you? And certain people, they actually get ashamed for that, Then, they'd be like, no. Stuff like that. But then again, be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And also, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand is doing. Your hands can't think nor do something that your mind doesn't want them to do. So what it's talking about is the people that you keep close and the other people that you are close to, meaning your left hand side. Those are the people that are of your family or something like that, or friends, or just people that you know in general, like people on your job or family members that you ain't really cool cat with. You like them, but you ain't cool cat with them. Don't let them know too much. They're on your left hand side. You just keep them in the dark. It's like a magician, minus the magic. By the way, you play with your right hand here, and then you do stuff with your left hand which they can't see, and then voila! All of a sudden you did a trick. A bit like clapping like seals. And yeah, you just keep it moving. Basically, don't let them know what you're doing. You're busy with the ones that you love on your right hand side. You're doing stuff like Yahweh Bashem Yahshai is on your right hand side. The Bible is on your right hand side. They get to know you. But the ones on your left hand side, you don't let them know. Hey, man, what are you doing today? You just be chilling, man. Yeah, can I come over? Well, nah, I just want to be alone, man. Meanwhile, you know that you're finna go up in the scriptures, but you ain't gonna tell them. Nah. I want to be alone with Yahweh Bashem Yahshai and the real brothers. You don't have to say that. You know, I'm not lying. I actually do want to be alone. Alone with my mind. With the mindset, people of my mind, my own mind. Sometimes you gotta, I don't want to promote lying, you know, because we're not supposed to be liars. But, yeah. Yeah, I'm still not going to tell you the truth. I'll just say something to wherewith I am not lying, like really see-through lying, like you a liar for that. No, I will, yeah, I just don't want to let you know. Let me keep you in the dark. Yeah, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand is doing, basically. Yeah, what your real love is doing. Don't let them know. Yeah, too much explaining for that. But I'll leave it at that, and with that, I'm going to shake your hand, I'm going to say shalom.